Hi, welcome to this week's question and responses. And this week it's in fact another question from a client. This is a client who I'm working with for awakening transmissions. And as part of that, we always have some conversation first of all. So to begin this week's session that we had, my client was asking about doing and saying that, in fact, let me read it for you. I'll read what she actually said. I can see I'm not the doer for most of the day, apart from when I'm making a conscious decision. Can you say more about what you mean by not being the doer? So there was this sense of, yeah, I can see that most of the time I'm getting the breakfast, I'm brushing the teeth, I'm getting the kids sorted, I'm getting work set up. I can see that it's just happening. I can see that that things are just being done. There's no doer. But then the mind will always come up with an exception. Then it looks like when I'm making a conscious decision, now I'm a doer. Now there's me here making this decision. So let's inquire the same way that I inquired with her when we were together on the call. So I invited her to think back to a recent conscious decision that she'd supposedly made, where it looked like she'd been the doer. So do that for yourself now. Obviously, pause the video if you want a bit of time to think about it. Think of a recent time where it looked like I decided, like I have made a conscious decision here. And now we're going to go close in to that experience as it actually was, not at that conceptual level of the mind that says, I made a decision. We're going to look at what actually was going on. So go back to that moment. If you like, you might want to close your eyes to return to that space, return to that time. And notice what happened. So perhaps there was gathering of information. Perhaps there was talking to people. Perhaps there was writing pros and cons lists. Could have been all sorts of things being done. So have a look at that. See what was being done in your experience there. Again, pause if you want a moment to think about this. So there were all sorts of things being done. And in truth, can you see that they were just happening? The same as the brushing the teeth, the same as the getting the breakfast, the same as getting everything ready for work. Things were being done step by step by step, next thing, next thing, next thing. So now let's come in closer to the point of decision. Notice how a thought arose that might have said something along the lines of, oh yeah, I really think this is the best thing to do. Or, do you know what? I really would like that. Or, yeah, that's it. That's definitely the way. So notice how there was a thought. The thought's words, what was included in the thought, yes, that's the way to go. Yes, that's the decision to make. So there are words there in the form of what we call a thought. Now, where did that come from? Did you make that thought appear? Did you somehow pre-choose that thought prior to it being thought? Or did that thought just arise spontaneously from nowhere with you doing nothing to make it happen? So even with a conscious decision, are you really doing it? Is there a you doing it? Or is there the movement of life to gather information? And then at some point, is there a thought that comes that says, yes, this is the decision. And did you really choose that thought? Did you really make that thought come? If you think you did, drop something in the comments to tell me about that so we can look a bit closer. I'm very willing to be proven wrong. But in my experience, nobody has ever found how a thought arises. Nobody has ever been able to say the step-by-step instructions of how to make a decision come into their mind. Yes, decisions happen. Yes, thoughts arise that say, I decided. We can see there's a thought. I don't know how that thought came to be. I don't know how all that information got processed and churned and tumbled and turned into that decision. All I see is the activity of gathering information, and I hear the thought that says, here's the decision. There's nobody here doing that. So yeah, tell me what that's like for you. What's landed for you in what I've just shared. And if there are questions coming up, then drop them below too. Much love. See you next time.